The Subnautica new player experience is something else. The shallows of the wreck. No, 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 please let me live. I'm about 20 hours in, 7 Let's Play episodes, and my mind is blown. Oh, I have no idea what that was. What was that? I think if you have played the game, you have probably experienced some of what I'm going through. But the fact that a game can make you feel this way, can bring up all of these emotions that you usually don't feel when you are gaming, is a testament to that game design. And it really does hit on a survival situation type of a level. Let's talk about what makes Subnautica's survival unique. So just a bit of context, I work with animals. I've been working with horses my whole life. I study animal behavior, and a part of understanding animal behavior is understanding curiosity, because curiosity is how you can teach animals, not only the creatures around us or creatures lurking beneath the depths, but also humans. So a big part of human curiosity is when we need something, we go out searching for it. We become curious if something is going to help us or hurt us. So there's this point when you are looking for Cyclops engine fragments where your human curiosity is like, ooh, there's this cylinder behind the Aurora that looks like the perfect thing that I need in order to get my Cyclops. You get this excited curiosity peak. You go down there, you start scanning it, you get back in your Seamoth and you start zooming away, happy with what you found, knowing that that Cyclops is going to propel you forward in the Subnautica story. But the only thing that ends up propelling you forward is a Reaper Leviathan. So you're going through the phases of curiosity, and then the very primal fear that you get when you run into a predator as you're being curious. And just as a horse goes and sniffs a plastic bag to see what the deal is, they then shy away from the plastic bag like a crazy thing because it makes a noise that they deem to be unsafe. That's exactly how I felt as I was exploring behind the Aurora that one day. I felt like prey in a survival situation, and I felt like I needed to run away from the predator, and I was able to run away. My poor Seamoth was not able to run away. Like a moth to the underwater flame, it was pulled in by the Reaper and crushed. But I rarely feel that in other survival games. Subnautica is one of the rare few that holds that feeling of borderline happy curiosity peaking, but then terrifying running from predator, total gut-wrenching, adrenaline pumping. Like, I don't feel that in other games, which is why I'm making this video. I think it's very rare that games bring these emotions up that I don't usually feel in real life. And the way the game is designed changes how I usually go through games. So let's talk about how Subnautica messes with your mind. If you watch my playthrough of the Crosswind Alpha, I'm very analytical. I'm always trying to solve problems. I'm trying to be efficient. I'm trying to find the best way to do things because I can foster intellectual, logical thought. When I'm in Subnautica, out the window, dropped like the stasis rifle that I fumbled. Oh, shit, stasis gun, zap it. Oh no, I took the gun off. Shoot, where is it? Laser cutter? Repair tool? Oh my god. Why can't I equip this? No, I dropped it. No! I got so flustered and scared, and as I said earlier, my adrenaline was pumping and I felt like I was in a survival situation so much that when I went into my inventory to put my stasis rifle on the hotbar, I right-click and dropped it because I was panic clicking. I was just mashing buttons trying to figure out how to salvage the situation and salvage Seamoth number 2, but instead I ended up dropping the only weapon that I had and getting eaten. So when I play Subnautica, as someone who does YouTube videos, I can't play it as like I'm going to teach you guys tips and tricks about Subnautica person, because my brain doesn't function the same way in Subnautica as it does in other survival games. I can actually get somewhat good at other survival games. In Subnautica, I am just trying to survive, and that is such an amazing feeling. It literally puts me on the edge of my seat. And I know a lot of people watch my channel because my voice is relaxing and they can just open up one of my videos, one of my Let's Plays, and just listen to my voice as I play through these games. And I feel kind of guilty because I feel like parts of this playthrough don't give that vibe because it's big thing. It's big thing. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. My once chill and relaxing voice turns into a whining screech every time I get anywhere near something that shouts louder at me than a stalker. Which brings me to my next point. The absolute perfection, like chef's kiss of the sound design in Subnautica. It is so good. It adds, I don't want to say realism, but it makes you feel things, more things than you would if it were an inferior system, if it were inferior sound design. The way the Reaper sounds, the Leviathan Reaper sounds, when it is behind you is one of the scariest things I've ever heard in my life because of the way they have the audio in your headset. The noise the gold nodes makes when you ping those open, it's like a little dopamine hit every time I do that, and I absolutely love farming for gold just because of the noise it makes. So this fear and this survival and these perfect sound bites, including me screaming and crying and swimming away through the ocean, all combine to just make this lightning in a bottle feeling as you're playing the game. And then you add the exploration on top of that, the satisfaction you get from being curious and finding those things that you need that are going to help propel you literally forward. It is an amazing experience. So the point is, I have laughed, I have screamed, I have lost the capability of speaking proper English grammar, and I have had a great time doing it. But what is it that makes Subnautica truly unique compared to other survival titles? I also find that Subnautica is an extremely unique survival game because living under the ocean is still a somewhat novel concept, both in real life and in games. Usually, you would spend 75% of your time on an island in a game rather than beneath the water. In Subnautica, that is flip-flopped, and that keeps things novel and it keeps things new and it keeps things interesting. It's really similar to Grounded. Grounded throws you in a shrunken state with things that you are already afraid of in real life, bugs and spiders, and then it makes them massive. So it keeps things novel as well. Subnautica does that, but with the absolute creeping fear of the depths, but then also the creatures that lurk beneath, and the idea of living down there, not just visiting, but living. It has a second thing that makes it really unique though, and that's that your goal is not to set out and massacre everything. Your tiering up of your gear is not just to get the next best weapon so that you can clear an area and completely explore it because you have killed all the animals or creatures or enemies there. Subnautica doesn't necessarily promote killing these things that are in your way, but it does give you ways to bop them if you need to. You know, you've got your little knife, you've got some drill things that you can poke and prod animals with, but for the most part, the idea is that you scheme and you plot and you plan and you figure out how to navigate to reach your goals rather than just spinning to win and killing everything in your path so that you can then claim the goods. I really like that, and it is unique because most survival games I play have a huge fleshed out combat system with skills, skill trees, you know how it goes, and it starts getting a little stale. But these things about Subnautica that make it unique make it also feel like an extremely new experience. And to support that thought even further, I find it incredible how new players can start the game and have vastly different experiences depending on where they decide to go look for things, what they scan, what they find, what they miss. And it's so cool that you can still have meaningful progression and make your way through the game without having every little tiny piece that the game makes a possibility to find. I know I have missed a ton of stuff in my Let's Play, but I'm still making progress towards my goals. I've watched a few episodes of a few other YouTubers play, and they found some things I didn't, but also missed some things that I found, and they are still making their way through their goals. It's just really smart design to allow players to keep progressing in a non-linear way. Technically, it's linear because the whole point is to just keep going deeper and in a way that is a line of depth, but it's not restrictive. It's okay to miss things here or there because usually chances are you'll find the things you need eventually. Like the closest thing I've had to a stuck moment where I've wanted to just shut off the game is looking for deep mushrooms. You need deep mushrooms to make a few different things once you get your base up and running. It took me a while to just zoom around and find where those were, and I was able to find like this semi-not dangerous area to harvest them and finally had success. But it wasn't enough of a, like, as I said, a stopping point where I had to go and look at a guide or look at a YouTube video. My tenets that I've stuck to for this Let's Play are that I don't want any guides. I don't want anyone to tell me where things are. I want to do things myself because the thrill I have gotten and the experience I've had from figuring things out myself, struggling, that's another animal-human survival thing, is struggle. It may not feel like it, but we are built to struggle and survive. Our bodies aren't built for convenience. Our minds aren't built for convenience. When things get too easy, we stop innovating, we stop trying to solve problems. So it may sound a little extra, but part of gaming that I love is that it does set up situations that you have to problem solve. And of course there are guides out there and you can always go look at guides, but I choose not to. And I think it adds to why I love games because it helps me explore when I can't really get out in the world and dive 300 meters under the sea and go explore down there. But in a game I can, and I can problem solve and I can keep my brain going. I can keep my mind moving. Of course, you got to get off the computer to do the physical part of movement, but brain is just as important as your body. And speaking of stumbling blocks, the game is set up to help you, but not make things too easy. So, for example, I explored the Aurora for the first time yesterday. Or the day before yesterday, but anyway, when I went in there, one of the first things I found was a propulsion gun scanner fragment. Conveniently enough, my first task was to try and move boxes away from Cargo Bay 3's entrance. So the developers were hinting there, hey, you're going to need the propulsion cannon in order to get those boxes away. So we're going to conveniently put the blueprint for it right in front of the boxes so you can scan it, go back to your base, craft it, come back, and do what you need to do. So the game helps you, gives you little hints. And even if you do miss those hints, as I said earlier, you can keep progressing. I know, of course, that I've missed a few hints, and it must drive some of you crazy when I do miss these little hints that the game puts in, but I guess I'll talk about that for a second, because when you are a new player to this game, it's really overwhelming, and I'm sure you remember that when you probably played it the first time. Overwhelm, you want to survive, you're scared of everything. As I said, a lot of my logical thought and thought process goes out the window in favor of just wanting to survive and get to the next stage. So you might miss when the scanner pops up to scan things. I might miss when something pops into my PDA. And oftentimes what happens is I don't read my PDA until I get back to my base. But I'm sure as I go, I'll get more comfortable with just reading the PDA when there's no apparent threat. I'm sure I'll be able to wing it. As I said, I get better as I go in the Let's Play as far as scanning and listening to, I call her Sea Siri, either Sea Siri or Space Siri, depending on where my brain is, because she's like a robot under the sea from space. I mean, we're all from space in one way or another, but you know what I mean. So that's another really cool thing about the game. Just like how when you get in the Aurora, it gives you nutrient blocks as you're making your way through so that you won't run out of food. It gives you plenty of water as you're searching the Aurora so that you won't run out of water as you're doing those things. It's just really nice. It pushes you along, but it doesn't make things too easy to where if you're really not paying attention, you might start struggling with your food or your thirst. Usually, I have critiques. Usually, I have things to say about combat or the flow of gameplay or things that turned me off, things that made me want to shut the game off. I haven't had any of that. This is a first. Grounded is a close second. The only thing that made me want to shut off Grounded was all of the different types of weapons, the sour, salty, fresh. I didn't like that. It was too much. That was the one thing I found really tedious. I can't find anything in Subnautica yet. I have had the most pleasant gaming experience with Subnautica that I've had in years, and I can't think of a critique, honestly. There's one tiny quibble, but it's not even a critique, it's a user error, but the way the game is set up makes it easier to make the error, and that is when you have all of the different GPS markers that you can mark, they're all in the default blue. Whenever the game puts one in your PDA, it's blue and it blends in really well with the ocean around you. So my only critique would be, it would be really cool if when the game adds a random, like an escape pod marker or the sunbeam landing marker to your PDA, that it makes it red or yellow or something so that it stands out a little bit more. Because I ran into an issue where I didn't see the sunbeam event up close where I should have, because I didn't even realize there was an extra icon there that was guiding me there. I thought it was one of the icons I had placed, and it was blue. So it was user error, because if I had changed all of my other icons to different colors, like the game lets you do, I would have noticed that it added that blue one. So that's literally the only thing I can think of. And as I said, it's more of a critique of my interpretation of the PDA GPS markers than it is how they built the game. So that's really all I got. Everything else has just been straightforward, but not too straightforward in that I'm not thinking. As I said, it's been an extremely emotional experience in many different ways, on many different levels. And it has turned me from a channel who does not use profanities into one who swears, which is hilarious because I never really intend to swear at all. I want the channel to be somewhat family friendly, but I can't help it. Swearing like a sailor when I'm out in the seas. So those are my thoughts as a new player in the realm of Subnautica. At this point in my Let's Play, I'm still 300 meters in. I have to go deeper still, and I think I've gotten to that point because I just unlocked the Cyclops and Prawn suit, so now what I need to do is just prepare. I need to gather a bunch of resources, build up my base, get everything I need, prepare, and go deeper, and that is going to be the plan when I resume the Subnautica episodes, which will be shortly after this video. So what do you all think? Did you feel some of the same stuff I felt the first time you played through the game? Let me know in the comments down below. As I said, right now I do have a 7-episode Subnautica Let's Play. If you are interested in binging some Subnautica, they're about 40 minutes long each episode, so I'll usually play for 2 hours and then boop it down to like 40 minutes so that I can keep things going, and it's a better viewing experience, I think. If you're interested in more like sea piratey gameplay videos, I have a whole Crosswind alpha test playlist where I go through the whole alpha test and you can see kind of what to expect in the beginning of the game. But otherwise, that is it for me today, guys. I'm excited to get back down into the depths. Excited but terrified just thinking about it. So I'm gonna go do that. As always, I hope you guys are enjoying your games, and I will see you all in the next video.